Hello, I'm James Zimohat. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. Farmers abandon farmlands in eastern Congo ahead of planting season due to insecurity. Sierra Leone vows to work with the U.S. government following travel ban. Zambians mourn the death of former President Edgar Lungu, who passed away at the age of 68. Fighting in eastern Congo has left farmlands flooded and abandoned as families flee renewed violence. In South Kivu, the planting season is lost for many and food prices are rising.
In Bushumba's flooded marshes, farmers returning after weeks of fighting found their crops ruined. The M23 rebel advance in January swept through Kabare territory, disrupting planting and trapping thousands away from their land. Without access to their fields, many farming families have been forced to eat the very seeds meant for the next season. Farmers say their entire harvest, and the seeds that could have restarted it during displacement caused by the war.
During this period of war, the beans we had already planted. When we fled the war, we abandoned everything. We left with the remaining seeds that we were supposed to plant, but we ate them where we fled to. Now, upon our return, we found that what we had planted was already spoiled because we hadn't done the weeding. Rats also ate what was left in the field. That's why we won't have seeds for this year.
Agricultural experts say the destruction of crops and seed reserves will affect food security well beyond the current season.
Most producers usually keep part of their harvest as seeds for the next season. But in this situation, since they haven't harvested, they couldn't save seeds. Thus, the war, which was already a security situation, has become a source of food insecurity.
The collapse of this season's harvest threatens to deepen hunger in eastern Congo, where decades of conflict have already left millions vulnerable. Humanitarian groups warn that without urgent support for farming communities, South Kivu could face a prolonged food emergency.
Still in eastern Congo, tens of thousands of students sat for state exams in areas under rebel control. The effort involved rare cooperation between the government and M23 insurgents.
State exams for secondary school students went ahead this week in eastern Congo, despite the region being under the control of M23 rebels. The armed group, which seized major cities earlier this year, cooperated with the government to ensure the exams could take place. Over 44,000 students registered, and nearly 42,000 turned up. Students say they are relieved at being able to complete the exams in peace, despite recent violence and displacement in the area.
I feel happy. I feel at ease. With the war, our friends died. Others fled to neighboring countries. But today, I was able to finish my exam in secure conditions.
Educators say the exam papers were safely delivered across the conflict zone, with help from partners and community support.
We were among those who went to get the items from Kinshasa. Once received, we called on technical and financial partners from the education cluster. Thanks to them, the packages were transported from Kinshasa to Beni, then to Goma, and finally here. With joint efforts from our teams and partners, all 111 centres we cover have been served. I can assure you that the questionnaires are available in all centres.
The peaceful rollout of exams marks a rare moment of civic order in Congo's war-torn east. But as peace talks continue, the region remains gripped by violence, and tens of thousands of children remain displaced or unable to attend school.
Sierra Leone has pledged to work with the United States to address visa overstay concerns. The country was among 7 named in the new U.S. travel restriction order announced by President Donald Trump.
Sierra Leone is promising full cooperation with the United States after being included in a list of countries facing partial travel restrictions under a new presidential proclamation. The new order, announced by President Donald Trump, will take effect on June 9th and affects nationals from 19 countries overall, including 12 under a full ban. Government officials say they are willing to work with US authorities to address the situation.
We acknowledge that Sierra Leone has been placed on a list, apparently for overstay visa issues. They have stated that in the correspondence that we have seen online. Specifically, that Sierra Leone has an unusual high percentage of overstay visas for both the students category and the B1 and B2 categories. We are committed to ensuring that we work together with the US government to address these issues, because as a country, obviously we would love to see our citizens not suffer restrictions and travel bans, and that they can travel freely across the world once they meet the criteria that are set. And so our attitude to this is, what more can we do? How can we collaborate with our US partners, with whom we have and believe will maintain a very good relationship?
The government's response signals a diplomatic approach amid tightening US immigration controls. With many West African students and travellers affected, Sierra Leone hopes cooperation will lead to the easing of restrictions in future policy reviews.
Somalis are speaking out against a new US travel ban that includes their country. President Donald Trump's latest restrictions have sparked anger in Mogadishu, where residents say the ban misinterprets the security situation.
Residents in Mogadishu, Somalia's capital, are criticising a US travel ban announced this week by President Donald Trump. The new policy bars nationals from 12 countries, including Somalia, from entering the US, citing terrorism and security risks. However, residents argue that Somalia has made significant progress in security, especially in the capital and central regions, where military operations have pushed back militant forces.
We have seen and heard what the US has said about Somalia on social media, but the truth is that Somalia is currently one of the safest countries in East Africa. Whether in Mogadishu or other regions, Somalia is secure and stable. This is the best and safest time for the country. The US is undermining the progress we've made in security and does not appear to support Somalia's stability. Young people should not be misled by the lies and propaganda coming from the US.
The US is wrong to claim that Somalia is not safe. Somalia is secure and rich in resources. Security continues to improve each day and is increasingly reliable. The US should focus on its own security.
Somalia has long struggled with conflict and extremist violence, but the government has claimed recent gains against insurgents. For many in Mogadishu, the travel ban is a step backward that damages both national pride and international trust.
Togolese residents are reacting with frustration after the US placed partial travel restrictions on their country. Many in the capital, Lomé, say the move crushes hopes of studying and working in America to escape poverty.
We cannot have open
A new US immigration order signed by President Donald Trump on Wednesday includes Togo among 7 countries facing partial travel restrictions. The move is part of a broader policy targeting 19 nations, mainly in Africa and the Middle East. However, residents say it could worsen economic hardship by shutting down opportunities for education and work abroad.
This affects me personally because my dream is to go to the USA to work and lift my family out of poverty. We ask for forgiveness so that he will reconsider this decision. If this is a problem between the authorities of the 2 countries, they should resolve it.
This unfortunate news has just been announced, and it is truly disappointing because we all had hope for a better tomorrow. Currently, in Togo, things are not going well, and everyone is expressing their difficulties in making ends meet. Even those with positions like inspectors or customs officers find it challenging to travel to the United States. The goal is to secure a better future. Now, with this unfortunate news, Donald Trump has reaffirmed his firm decision to prevent African nationals from Togo from entering the United States. We received this news with our hands on our heads, as it raises many questions and feels like the rug has been pulled out from under us.
Togo faces mounting economic pressure, with limited opportunities at home driving young people to seek futures abroad. For many in Lomé, the US travel ban represents more than a visa hurdle. It's a barrier to hope.
Zambians is mourning former President Edgar Lungu, who died at the age of 68 following complications during a medical procedure. Lungu served as head of state from 2015 to 2021 and recently attempted a political comeback before being declared ineligible to run again.
Former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has died in South Africa, where he was undergoing treatment for cancer in the esophagus. According to his political ally, Sean Tembo, the 68-year-old succumbed to complications following surgery. Lungu served as Zambia's sixth president from 2015 to 2021, overseeing large infrastructure projects, but also presiding over a severe debt crisis. After losing re-election to Hakainde Hichilema, Lungu briefly retired before returning to politics in 2023. However, Zambia's Constitutional Court ruled in December that he was ineligible to run again. Tonse Alliance spokesperson confirmed the news and expressed deep sorrow over Lungu's passing.
During the operation yesterday, he actually developed some complications, and that we had lost him. So unfortunately, that is what happened, and we are very devastated, I must say. The main purpose of the operation was to basically remove some cancerous cells on his esophagus. As you might be aware, he had cancer of the esophagus.
Residents say they are devastated by the loss.
He was like a hero to us because he has helped us through a lot. Because he has changed a lot of things in Zambia and he has made a difference apart from other presidents.
I remember him in several moments. He's a man who used to look after the old ones. He had opened a lot of hospitals, giving help to the vulnerable children. It's a sad moment. May his soul rest in peace.
Lungu's death marks the end of a turbulent political chapter for Zambia. Once a dominant figure in national politics, his legacy remains mixed, defined by both ambitious development goals and fiscal collapse.
Chinese electric vehicle giant BYD is ramping up its presence in South Africa. The company plans to nearly triple its dealerships by next year, targeting a fast-growing market for new energy vehicles.
BYD, the Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer, says it plans to expand its dealership network in South Africa from 13 to as many as 35 by next year. The move comes as sales of new energy vehicles in South Africa doubled in 1 year, from just over 7,700 in 2023 to more than 15,600 in 2024, according to the industry group AnewZ. Officials say their strategy is to grow steadily while preparing consumers for the shift to electric vehicles.
By the end of the year, we will have about 20 dealerships around the country. The aim is to expand that to about 30, 35 till next year. I always like to use the word grow the business organically. We want to educate and cultivate the market of South Africa and making sure that the South African consumers can catch up with the rest of the world. South Africa is actually one of the most important automotive market in the southern hemisphere of Africa, right? Southern Africa. It's probably the biggest market in the whole Africa. So it's a market that we have to look at it and see how we can develop the market.
South Africa's share of electric vehicle sales remains small, but it's growing fast. BYD's expansion reflects a wider push by Chinese automakers to secure early dominance in Africa's most developed car market.
Well, that's all we have today in African News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to AnewZ.